Ladies and gentlemen, you do not need to wear expensive clothes to feel valuable. You do not need a luxury car to prove your worth. You do not need thousands of followers to live a life that matters. Somewhere along the way, the world made us believe that living a standard life means chasing what others show. But that is not the truth. Living a standard life is about peace, contentment, balance. It is not measured in your bank account. It is reflected in your behavior, your relationships, and your self-respect. A standard life begins with discipline, not luxury. That is where most people go wrong. They believe if they just earn more, buy more, or gain more attention, they will finally reach that standard they dream about. But a life built on display is hollow. True standard is not about what the eyes see. It is about what the heart feels when no one is watching. And the only way to build that kind of life is through discipline, quiet, invisible, and powerful. Discipline is waking up even when you do not feel like it. It is brushing your teeth not because someone will notice, but because you respect yourself. It is showing up to work on time not because you fear your boss, but because you value your word. It is choosing to walk away from drama, not because you are weak, but because your peace matters more than winning an argument. Every little act of discipline is a brick in the foundation of a strong life. Most people want the result, but they do not want the routine. They want success, but not the structure. They want admiration, but not accountability. But the truth is, standard does not come from chaos. It comes from control, not controlling others, controlling yourself, your time, your words, your habits. That is where the power is. Discipline is not about being rigid. It is about being reliable. It is not about punishing yourself. It is about protecting your purpose. A person without discipline may rise fast, but they fall faster. Because without roots, a tree cannot survive the storm, and without discipline, you cannot survive the weight of your own dreams. Imagine a life where your days are not rushed, but organized. Your thoughts are not scattered, but centered. Your goals are not floating, but grounded. That is the life discipline gives you. It teaches you patience. It teaches you the art of waiting without wasting. It teaches you to do small things right, so that big things do not fall apart. Discipline is also a form of self-love. When you say, I will not eat junk today, or I will sleep early, or I will finish what I start, you are not just being strict. You are telling yourself, I matter. And that message, repeated over days, turns into identity. You stop living like a victim of time. You start living like the owner of your life. Even on the hardest days, discipline gives you direction. It whispers, keep going. It reminds you, you have a promise to keep. And in a world full of noise, when you have something that consistent inside you, you stand tall without shouting. You glow without glitter. You rise without racing. That is what a standard life looks like. It may not go viral. It may not make headlines, but it will make you proud when you look in the mirror, and that pride, the one that is quiet but deep, is worth more than all the applause in the world. Because a disciplined life may look simple, but it is never small. It is the life that gives peace to your mind, strength to your words, and truth to your journey. Simplicity is not a weakness, it is a foundation of strength, but the world has trained us to believe the opposite. Loud is powerful, complicated is intelligent, expensive is better. That is the lie we have been sold. And yet, if you look closely at the most graceful lives, the most respected souls, and the most peaceful minds, you will find one thing in common. They have learned the power of keeping things simple. They do not chase everything. They choose what matters. They do not decorate every sentence. They speak from the heart. They do not wear noise. They carry clarity. That is not weakness. That is control. A simple life is not a boring life. It is a focused one. It is a life that knows how to say no without guilt. It knows how to walk away from distractions, from drama, from anything that takes away more than it gives. Simplicity is about having the courage to not complicate your life with things you do not need, relationships that do not serve your growth, or habits that drain your spirit. It is about knowing that peace does not come from having more, it comes from needing less, that shift in mindset is not easy. But once it happens, your life feels lighter, not because you gave up things, but because you gave up weight. Simplicity is the decision to be intentional. Every object in your space, every person in your circle, every hour in your day, it is there because it matters. Not because it was trending, not because it was available, but because it is aligned with your values. That kind of discipline creates a quiet power inside you. You no longer live to impress, you live to express. You no longer run after everything. You walk with purpose. Even the way you speak changes when you choose simplicity. You no longer feel the need to over-explain. Your silence becomes stronger than your noise. Your yes becomes solid. Your no becomes clear. You stop trying to convince people of your worth. You simply live it. There is a kind of elegance in that, a quiet dignity, and once you taste that, you will never want to go back to chaos. People often confuse simple with small. But simplicity is not about shrinking, it is about refining, it is not about settling, it is about selecting. It is about removing the unnecessary so that the necessary can shine, like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone, not to destroy it, but to reveal the masterpiece hidden inside. That is what simplicity does to your life. It removes the noise, the clutter, the distractions, and in doing so, it reveals your true strength. It takes strength to not react to every comment. It takes strength to not buy what you cannot afford. It takes strength to leave a party early because you value your morning routine. It takes strength to wear the same outfit twice without shame. These are not losses. These are victories, quiet victories, private ones, the kind that build a strong, stable life. The most beautiful things in life are always simple: a genuine smile, a deep breath, a walk at sunset. A handwritten note. These things are not weak. They are powerful reminders that life is not meant to be a performance. It is meant to be felt, and the more we simplify, the more we feel. The more we let go of pretending, the more we step into our truth. That is where strength lies, not in showing off, but in showing up with intention and honesty. A simple person walks into a room and brings calm. Not chaos. They listen more, they judge less, they observe, they respond with thought, not just emotion. That does not make them invisible, that makes them memorable. In a world full of overdoing, they are a breath of fresh air. They do not need to shine brighter, they need to burn steady, because true strength is not in the flame, it is in the consistency of the light. Stop chasing validation, start choosing peace. The race to be liked, accepted, followed, applauded, it never really ends. It is a loop that feeds on insecurity. Every like feels like a win, every silence feels like rejection. Slowly, you begin to lose your own voice trying to match the tone of others. You start dressing for attention, speaking for applause, moving not from the heart, but from the fear of being left behind. And yet, no matter how fast you run or how high you climb, something always feels missing. That emptiness is not from failure. It is from forgetting yourself in the chase. That is why peace, not validation, should be the destination. Validation is addictive because it feels like love, but it is not love, it is noise, and the more you depend on it, the louder your world becomes and the quieter your soul gets. You begin to measure your worth through mirrors that do not reflect your truth. Every post, every reply, every comment becomes a vote that decides if you are enough. That is a dangerous game. Because as long as your value depends on someone else's approval, you will never feel safe in your own skin. Choosing peace means learning to be okay without the clap. It means allowing yourself to do something just because it feels right, not because it looks right. It means standing by your beliefs even when they are unpopular. It means being kind without filming it, being strong without shouting it, being happy without needing to post it. That kind of living is not easy, it is not loud, but it is honest. When you stop chasing validation, you start building self-respect. The kind that does not need to prove itself, the kind that speaks quietly but firmly. You begin to realize that silence can be powerful, solitude can be healing, and being unseen does not mean being unworthy. You start to connect with yourself in ways applause could never give you. You notice your thoughts. You honor your feelings, you trust your choices, and in that quiet relationship with yourself, peace is born. People will always have opinions. Some will love you, some will misunderstand you, some will never care. You cannot control that, but what you can control is how much power you give to those opinions. When you base your decisions on peace instead of approval, you stop being tossed around by every comment, every stare, every trend. You anchor yourself, you say, "This is who I am, even if no one claps, even if no one agrees, even if no one notices." That is strength, that is freedom. Choosing peace also means choosing boundaries. It means stepping back from people who drain you, even if they used to cheer for you. It means letting go of arguments that only exist to feed egos. It means prioritizing rest over rush, presence over performance, truth over popularity. It means you are no longer living to perform, you are living to breathe, to grow, to feel, and in that quiet you start to hear your own voice again. There is nothing more powerful than a person who is not desperate to be seen, who knows their value, who walks into a room and does not scan for approval, but radiates inner calm. That kind of presence cannot be manufactured. It comes from deep peace, a peace that says, "I do not need to be the loudest, I just need to be real." That kind of peace is rare, and once you taste it, you will never trade it for empty praise again. Your life is not an audition. You were not born to perform for the world's approval. You were born to experience life fully, honestly, and gently. And the day you stop asking others to define you is the day you finally return home to yourself. That home is built with peace, not applause. Build daily habits that respect your time and values. Your life is not shaped by the big, dramatic moments. It is built quietly in the details, the small choices, the daily routines. We often wait for inspiration, some major breakthrough, or a magical day when everything aligns, but life does not work like that. The person you become tomorrow is formed by what you repeatedly do today, and if your daily habits do not align with what you claim to value, then your values are just decorations, not decisions. Time is one of the few things you can never get back, yet it is the first thing we waste. We scroll, we delay, we overthink, we distract ourselves, and then we wonder why nothing feels meaningful. Respecting your time means taking responsibility for where it goes. It means becoming aware of how much of it is spent in building and how much is spent in drifting. When you begin to see your minutes as bricks, you realize each one can either build a wall between you and your purpose or a bridge toward it. Daily habits are not glamorous. No one applauds when you decide to sleep early or drink more water or stop checking your phone the moment you wake up. But these small, almost invisible choices become the architecture of your life. They set your tone, your energy, your mindset. They decide how you show up not just once, but again and again. And when done right, they free you. They give your life rhythm, a rhythm that is calm, grounded, and anchored in what truly matters. Respecting your values through your habits means not betraying what you believe in for momentary pleasure or comfort. If you say you value health, but your day is filled with junk food and excuses, then you are not living your truth. If you say you value growth, but you avoid every difficult task, then you are not moving forward. Real self-respect is when your actions match your inner compass. When your time reflects what you stand for, That is how integrity is lived, not through words, but through patterns. Start by creating a few rituals that protect your peace, a few minutes of silence in the morning, a dedicated time for learning something new, a short walk in the evening without your phone. These things may look simple, but they train your mind to value what cannot be bought. They teach you that discipline is not a punishment. It is a form of self-love, and the more you keep your promises to yourself, the more confident you become. Not the kind of confidence that brags, the kind that feels steady inside you, even when no one is watching. When your habits respect your time, you stop living in reaction. You stop being pulled in 100 directions. You gain clarity. You understand that not every message needs an instant reply. Not every invitation needs a yes. Not every opportunity is worth your energy. You become selective, not out of arrogance, but out of awareness. You realize that saying no to what drains you is saying yes to what nourishes you. It is not about being perfect. It is about being consistent. Even on bad days, you return to your routine. Even when motivation fades, you rely on structure. Even when life feels uncertain, your habits keep you rooted. That kind of stability builds strength, not loud, visible strength, but quiet, enduring strength that does not collapse under pressure. Building habits that reflect your values is not about control. It is about care. It is how you honor your one and only life. You do not need to do everything. You just need to do the right things often enough with heart. And once your daily life starts reflecting who you truly are, you will stop chasing happiness. You will realize you are already living it. Measure your success by how calm you sleep at night. The world will tell you success is about numbers, how many deals you closed, how many followers you gained, how much money you made, how many people applauded you. But what they will not ask is whether you felt peace when you laid your head down at night. They will not ask how quiet your thoughts were, how guiltless your heart felt, how rested your soul was. Because true success is not loud. It is soft, gentle, and silent. It lives in the stillness of your mind when the world stops looking. There is a different kind of success that does not show in pictures or in public. It shows when your eyes close and your heart feels light. It shows when you are not haunted by your own choices, when your wins did not cost someone else their dignity, when your ambition did not crush your health, when your achievements did not come at the price of your peace. That kind of success is rare because it cannot be seen, only felt, and yet it is the only kind that truly matters. The world celebrates speed, hustle, and noise, but the soul celebrates balance, and balance is what lets you sleep without regret. You may have worked all day, pushed through challenges, handled responsibilities, but if you can close your eyes at night with a sense of calm, then you are doing more than just surviving. You are living right, and it takes wisdom to understand that the loudest life is not always the happiest one. The one that looks successful on the outside may be drowning on the inside. Many people have full calendars but empty hearts. They hit goals but miss themselves. They win applause but lose their authenticity, and they wonder why, despite having everything, they feel nothing. It is because they built their lives on the noise of the world, not the needs of their soul. Real success is silent. It is a healthy relationship. It is an honest living. It is forgiving someone and not telling the world. It is showing up for your parents. It is keeping your word. It is choosing kindness even when you are right. These are the things that help you sleep with peace. You do not need to prove yourself through exhaustion. You do not need to burn yourself out just to say you are achieving. You need rest not just for your body, but for your soul. The kind of rest that comes from alignment when your actions match your values, when your pace matches your season, when your heart is not running a race it never signed up for. That rest is success. That rest is the reward of living right. A calm sleep is the prize for a clear conscience. When you spoke truthfully, worked honestly, and treated others with respect, when you did not lie to win, did not hurt to compete, did not gossip to climb. That calmness cannot be bought. It cannot be borrowed. It is earned through self-respect and humility. And once you experience it, you will never trade it for shallow recognition again. Let people talk. Let them rush, let them show. You focus on how you feel when you are alone, when the lights are off, when the applause fades. If you feel settled, not shaken, if your breath is deep, not broken, then you are successful, because that kind of life cannot be faked. It cannot be created overnight. It grows through choices, quiet, consistent, conscious choices, and the peace it gives you will speak louder than any crowd ever could. Self-respect is the highest standard you can set. It is not about how others treat you. It is about what you allow, what you accept, and how you carry yourself when no one is watching. Many people confuse self-respect with ego, with arrogance, with being untouchable. But it is not about being above anyone. It is about not going below your own values. It is the quiet strength to say no when something feels wrong, the courage to walk away even when your heart wants to stay, and the wisdom to protect your energy without asking for permission. You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. When you constantly ignore your own needs, when you say yes just to avoid being disliked, when you tolerate disrespect for the sake of peace, you are not being kind. You are abandoning yourself. And slowly, your sense of worth begins to fade. You lose yourself in the name of keeping others comfortable. But self-respect is about choosing discomfort in the moment so that you do not live with regret for years. It is about understanding that not every smile deserves your time, not every offer deserves a yes, and not every door needs to be walked through. There is a certain dignity in knowing your limits, in setting boundaries not as walls but as gates. Gates that open for those who bring honesty, kindness, and mutual respect, and close gently for those who do not. When you respect yourself, your circle changes, the noise fades, the pressure to fit in disappears. You are no longer desperate to be chosen because you already chose yourself. You start to value your own company, your own opinions, your own growth. And that shift is powerful because the moment you stop begging others to see your worth, they start noticing it more clearly. Self-respect also means holding yourself accountable, not in a harsh, punishing way, but in a loving, responsible way. It means cleaning your space because you deserve a calm environment. It means speaking kindly to yourself because your mind is your home. It means staying consistent not for show, but because you promised yourself you would try. These are not small things. They are the roots of self-trust, and without self-trust you will always be shaky, no matter how much approval you collect from outside. Sometimes self-respect means letting go of people who do not value your presence, even if they once made you feel special. Letting go of habits that bring temporary comfort but long-term damage. Letting go of environments that shrink your voice. This letting go is not cruel. It is an act of protection. You are not meant to carry everything just because you are strong. You are meant to choose wisely because you are valuable. When you live with self-respect, your choices become clearer. You no longer wait for signs to leave a place where you are not respected. You no longer doubt your worth just because someone else failed to see it. You begin to stand not with pride, but with peace. You begin to speak with clarity, not for reaction, but for truth. You begin to love without losing yourself, and that is rare, because many people love so deeply that they forget their own name in the process. There is nothing more beautiful than someone who respects themselves quietly, who walks into a room with softness but unshakable standards, who gives without losing, who listens without absorbing negativity, who shows up not for attention but because they honor their role. That kind of person does not need validation. Their presence speaks for them. Their energy sets the tone. Their silence teaches more than loud words ever could. Because they are not trying to prove anything, they are just living in alignment with what they know they deserve. Stability is louder than spotlight choose it. In a world obsessed with highlights, with instant fame, with going viral, the quiet, steady life often gets overlooked. But real power does not always flash like lightning. Sometimes it moves like the tide slow, constant, and impossible to stop. Stability is not boring, it is brave. It means you are not chasing noise. You are building something that lasts. It means your emotions are not tossed around by every opinion. It means your dreams are not swayed by every trend. It is choosing roots over wings, depth over height, consistency over chaos. Many people want to be seen. Very few want to be steady. But the truth is, what is seen today is often forgotten tomorrow. The spotlight moves quickly. What does not move quickly is character, habits, discipline, and those are the things that create a life you can depend on. Stability does not come from things going your way. It comes from learning how to respond when they do not. It is not about having no storms. It is about being anchored enough to stay grounded when storms come. That strength is not made in public. It is made in silence, in repetition, in getting back up quietly every time you fall. There is a kind of peace that only stability can give. When you know where you stand, who you are, and what matters to you, the world's noise becomes background music. You stop panicking when things shift. You stop needing constant validation. You stop burning yourself out just to catch up. Instead, you wake up with clarity. You do what needs to be done. You keep your promises. You keep showing up even when no one claps. That is not ordinary, that is rare. The spotlight can trick you into thinking the peak is everything. That once you are seen, everything will fall into place, but often it is the other way around. Things fall apart when people get caught up in being seen instead of being solid. They skip the foundation. They rush the process. They build tall but not strong, and the moment pressure hits, the whole thing collapses. Stability is not about reaching fast. It is about building right, step by step, layer by layer, so when the pressure comes you bend, but you do not break. There is a quiet confidence in people who choose stability. They are not desperate for the world to notice. They are too busy living with purpose. They are not caught in the drama of appearing perfect. They are focused on becoming whole. They are not addicted to being the best. They are devoted to being true, and that devotion gives them peace. A peace that does not depend on applause or attention. A peace that holds them steady in storms others are shaken by. When you choose stability, your life becomes safer, not in a boring way, but in a powerful way. Your relationships are more secure because they are not built on ego. Your work is more fulfilling because it comes from intention, not pressure. Your self-worth becomes clearer because it is not measured by public reaction. You trust your own pace. You respect your own journey. And because of that, you grow, quietly, deeply, authentically. The world may not celebrate the stable ones loudly, but they are the ones people run to when things fall apart. They are the ones whose words carry weight, whose presence feels like safety, whose lives are proof that success is not how fast you rise. It is how well you remain standing when things shake. The spotlight fades, but stability, it builds a legacy, not a moment, not a trend, a life. A peaceful soul is greater than a perfect image. In the age of filters, edits, curated captions, and highlight reels, it is easy to believe that having a perfect image is the highest achievement. But the truth is, no matter how flawless your feed looks, if your heart is in chaos, you are not truly living. Peace is not visible. It cannot be posted. It does not sparkle like diamonds or echo like applause. But it holds you steady in ways a perfect image never can. Peace is what lets you enjoy your own company, sit in silence without panic, and look in the mirror without flinching. That kind of quiet is not weakness, it is wealth. Perfection is exhausting, it demands a performance. It demands constant fixing, adjusting, hiding. You begin to monitor every word, every outfit, every reaction, just to protect an image. But while the world may be convinced, your soul knows the truth, and it will always whisper that truth back to you in the quiet hours. A peaceful soul does not need to pretend. It does not fear being seen as real, as raw, as human. It welcomes imperfections as part of the story. Not as something to fix, but as something to understand and hold with compassion. Chasing a perfect image often leaves people feeling empty. They shine on the outside and shiver on the inside. They gain approval but lose authenticity. They're admired but not truly known. And they wonder why the praise never fills them up. It is because peace cannot be replaced with attention. The soul does not care about followers. It craves freedom, freedom from the pressure to perform, freedom from the fear of failure, freedom from the need to constantly explain or prove. A peaceful soul comes from acceptance. Not the lazy kind of acceptance that avoids growth, but the honest kind that says, "This is who I am right now, and I can grow without shame." It lets you breathe deeply, not because life is easy, but because you are no longer fighting yourself. That kind of inner calm changes how you show up in every space. You listen more, react less, love better. You make room for others to be imperfect too, and that makes your presence healing, not just impressive. When you value peace over image, your priorities shift. You begin to choose rest over proving a point. You choose honesty over being liked. You choose meaningful conversations over performative ones. You no longer feel the need to post every act of kindness, every achievement, every moment of happiness. Because your joy is real. It does not need an audience. Your success is real. It does not need constant validation. And your struggles, they become part of your strength, not a stain to be hidden. There is a quiet power in people who are at peace with themselves. They do not need to dominate a room. Their energy speaks before they do. They are not in competition because they are rooted in who they are. They do not tear others down because they are not building a false image. They uplift, they encourage, they hold space because they know what it means to have found calm after chaos. That calm makes them strong, not loud, grounded, not rigid, soft but unshakable. Perfect images crack under pressure. Peaceful souls bend but do not break. A peaceful soul forgives more easily, walks away more calmly, and stays present more fully. It can say no without guilt, and yes without fear. It can grieve without shame, and celebrate without ego. It walks through the world not needing to be seen, but choosing to be real. That kind of life may not look perfect, but it feels whole. And in the end, wholeness is what we all seek, not perfection that pleases the crowd, but peace that carries us when the crowd disappears.